What is your stance on children attending weddings? If you haven't heard, there is a huge debate going on right now over whether or not children should be allowed to weddings. This debate was sparked by this Reddit post that went viral recently. Pause to read. People have a lot of opinions on this one. So to summarize, this Redditor was having her wedding and arranged childcare for every guest at the wedding bringing children, but it was 2 miles away from the wedding and she had thoroughly vetted people to take care of the kids there. But a lot of people were upset that the kids were not allowed to come and that the playground was so far away from the venue. A lot of people felt like this is nothing and it wasn't a big deal, but a lot of people found it really offensive that their children weren't allowed to attend. Newsweek thought that it was really kind that they offered childcare, but that it's just not for everybody. Today, Parent had a different take on this. They felt that it was actually really insulting and that it should be completely up to the parent whether or not to bring their children. But Yahoo totally disagrees with this. They feel like because it is the bride and groom's day, it should be completely up to them and the parents can either deal with it or not go to the wedding. Well, TikTok, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think children should be allowed at weddings or no?
Hi guys, it's Hope K. Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are good. I hope you're having a great weekend. And if you're not, I hope it turns around for you. Today, we're discussing the issue of child-free women not wanting kids at a wedding. Have they gone too far? I have never thought about this, but are weddings a place for children? The long and short of it is it's situational, I suppose. I see why people would want kids at a wedding. Kids are people too. It's not shocking that people would want them involved in most, if not every family event. However, kids are disruptive and very distractive. So maybe it makes sense that you wouldn't want people with little to no self-control hanging about. Weddings are expensive and we all hope to do it just once. So maybe it makes sense to want everything perfect, and kids are not conducive of that environment. Let's see what other people have to say about it, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Please remember to subscribe and like, as this helps the algorithm and it helps me tremendously. I appreciate your help, and let's get into it.
So what is the big issue with having kids at weddings? I'm going to tell you from the perspective of someone that has literally gone to hundreds of weddings, and that is not hyperbole. I have literally been to hundreds of weddings. Most people go to like 20 weddings max in their entire lifetime. I've seen some shit, but one wedding stands out. I was the videographer for a wedding. Ceremony is about to begin. The wedding party is making their way down the aisle, and then here comes the ring bearer. Probably 3 or 4 years old, and he was the nephew of the groom. He is scowling and stomping down the aisle. Every adult as he's passing by is like, please smile, smile. And then he starts wailing. Obviously doesn't want to be there, and if I'm honest, the couple didn't want him there either. The couple had originally planned a child-free wedding. A mother of the kid, the sister of the groom, threw a fit. She got her mom involved, and basically the mother of the groom threatened the couple that if her grandbaby wasn't allowed to come to the wedding, she wasn't going either. So the couple caved. Kid threw such a tantrum during the ceremony that he had to be physically removed from the ceremony site by his mother. So the sister of the groom missed her brother's wedding, which to me is karma. Later that night, that kid tried to grab my $5,000 camera, and he tripped a girl on the dance floor because he was running around. You can't blame the kid. I mean, the kid's a kid. He doesn't know boundaries. He doesn't know social etiquette. He's bored. He wants to have fun. But where were the parents? They were dancing and drinking and having a good time while their kid caused havoc. My thing is, a wedding is not a birthday party. If your kid is running around and knocking things over at a birthday party, okay, so he popped a few balloons and he knocked over some Party City decorations. At a wedding, that could be a centerpiece that cost hundreds of dollars. It could be thousands of dollars of videography equipment. It could be the bride's $2,000 dress. Not to make this all about money, but are you paying for it? Are you spending a year out of your life to plan this wedding? Because if you are the person planning and paying for this wedding and you want kids at your wedding, that's amazing. But if you're just a guest and you're pissed because your kid's not invited, just don't go. Or I paid for a dress and gas and a gift and now I have to pay for a babysitter. Realize that the couple is paying like 100 times that for this wedding. If it's an adult only wedding, get a sitter or stay home. Those are your options.
This is why we say no kids at weddings. I read an article today about a person who was having a child-free wedding. The bride and groom had, agreed on it. They had let all their guests know. One of their guests decided they weren't going to be respectful. They weren't going to pay attention. So they show up with their kid anyway. Make a giant production at the venue about how they're going to be allowed in with their kid. They are entitled to it, yada yada. Get into the venue. Bride and groom let the kid in, whatever. Party starts. Kid wanders off. Parents are presumably partying, having fun, when suddenly nobody can find the child. Turns out this unsupervised child had wandered away and had accidentally run into a mirror. The mirror ended up falling on the child and severely injuring them. When the parents of the child realize what has happened, they, one, threaten to sue the venue for not having proper supervision, and then they decide to try and sue the bride and groom for having an unsupervised wedding. The child wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. You demanded you bring them, and then you couldn't even keep your eyes on them. Weddings in general are just not safe places for children. It's not a personal insult towards you.
I actually wanted to address this comment. I have a friend that's having a child-free wedding, and I have kids. And she's having a really hard time getting her friends to understand that that means no kids, doesn't matter what kind of kids, no freaking kids. Listen, I have 2 kids, I get it. I don't have a lot of help. Sitters are hard to come by. I understand. But do not commit to a wedding if you know that you can't find a sitter. Because if they say no kids, you have to be respectful of no kids. And there's 1,000 reasons I could give why you should have no kids. And I understand why people choose that. And I'm literally a mother and I literally shoot weddings for a living. Moral of the story is a lot of times you just can't control what your kids are going to do. You can't control when they're going to cry. You can't control when they're going to have a fit. And just know that maybe it's not your kids, but just because it's not your kids doesn't mean it won't be someone else's kids. And it's a lot easier to say no kids than it's easier to say no because your kids are bad. So just be respectful and don't bring your dang kids if people don't want them. And definitely don't let them jump on the dance floor if it's the first dances, because hell no.
Okay, there is a very good reason I do not want kids at my wedding, because let me tell you what I did at someone's wedding when I was a kid. So during the ceremony, I decided to get up and use the bathroom, okay? And when I come back to my table, my parents are laughing their asses off at me, and I'm just like, what happened? What happened? And they're like, do you know what you just did? And I'm like, no. Guess what I fucking did? I cut the bride off while she was walking down the aisle. Here's the bride. Here's bride. I am in her wedding video forever now. I think about this moment every night before I go to sleep, okay? Honestly, this has traumatized me. Not even the lady who spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on a beautiful wedding ceremony that I pretty much completely ruined. There will be no kids at my wedding.
I feel like I'm going a little crazy because I just cannot wrap my head around how some people are genuinely appalled at the concept of a no-kid wedding. How is it a hot take to want to have a wedding where you can't bring kids? Guys, the kids don't want to go. You think as if the kids want to go. As if the kids want to go and sit still. Oh, but what about the flower groom? Flower woman. It's really not that hard. Like, you mean to tell me that these same kids who are making teachers quit their jobs after teaching for 30 years because they don't listen and obey rules and like treat others with respect, you're telling me that it's like a horrible idea to not want these same kids to be invited to a wedding where they're gonna just like dig their grubby paws into a cake and like rip it out before the bride and groom can touch it? The parents, guys, there's parents who are cutting the cake before the bride and groom because their kids are hungry. If I get married, I'm totally having a no-kid wedding. I think that's a great idea. I didn't even know that was a thing. thing you could do, but now everyone else is doing it. I'm like, yeah. You think I want a kid touching my zip line at my wedding? No, that's for me to go down my aisle on my wedding on my zip line. You think I want the kids heckling the Elvis impersonator? No. No, he needs to focus. He has a big job that day. He needs to do a lot of stuff that day. You know what? While I'm at it, planes. Why are kids on there? Guys, we put dogs in the cargo and we bring the kids, the babies, that whine and cry on the plane. Who invented that? Who came up with that rule, guys? Why has no one thought? Again, it's like no one would be mad except for the parents if we're putting the kids in the cargo. Like, it's the kids don't want to be on the plane. They just want to play on the iPad. Well, you know what? I think the kids would be mad if they were in the cargo. Yeah, no, I think the kids and the parents would be mad, but no one else.
Kids don't always belong at weddings. I cannot imagine taking my 10-month-old to a wedding right now. It would be miserable for him. It would be miserable for me. It would be miserable for the people getting married. And I'm not interested in being looked at weird because I've got the screaming child during the wedding ceremony. It's okay to have kid-free weddings, especially if the bride and groom themselves are kid-free. It doesn't deter me from going to a wedding. It doesn't make me side-eye them. You guys, just, if you can't find a sitter, sorry, you can't go to the wedding. It's not that big of a deal. It's not your day. Get over it. I don't feel any different about it. I'm still very pro child-free weddings if that's what they want.
And this is why, as a society, I think that we are isolating parents and discouraging people from having kids. You've got kids, can't go to the wedding, can't find childcare, can't go to the party. I totally think that those kids should have been cared for better, 100%. When I am at a party and there's something going on, a surprise dance, whatever it may be, my kids are very close to me. And if they want to start having a tantrum, guess what? I'm leaving the party or I'm going outside so that they can have a tantrum away from the guests. So let's maybe talk about parenting, better parenting or etiquette at a wedding and a party. But just, no kids, that means no parents. That's really isolating.
I'm probably going to get killed for this, but that right there is a prime example of what I believe that kids should not be invited to weddings. It's an adult event. That is my opinion. Also, I do think it is extremely disrespectful of those parents or those kids that they did not take them off the dance floor. That is such a special moment that just got ruined. All the pictures, all the videos, you can't redo that moment. I wholeheartedly believe kids should not be invited to weddings. Again, check out my previous videos. There are exceptions. I completely understand that. But a majority of times, I don't think they should be invited.
One time I was filming a first dance and I was walking from left to right and I didn't see a kid step in front of me. So I knocked them over completely and then I had to just keep going because I wasn't going to stop. One time during the vows, a kid started crying and it was so loud that the husband across from them couldn't hear the vows at all. Another time during a ceremony, it was a very small, tiny, intimate ceremony. The flower girl just started unvelcroing and revelcroing her shoes for a solid 5 minutes. One time I left the remote for the lights during the reception, very far away from anybody, but they were lighting up the dance floor during speeches, and a kid grabbed the remote and turned off all the lights in the middle of the toasts. Besides those other two stories, there are just countless examples that I have of, like, during the ceremony, a child or a baby crying. I could literally just do this all day.
So how do you guys feel about that? I don't know. Should we be emphasizing to parents to always supervise their kids as opposed to banning kids entirely? Like, I'm not really sure. I can get on board with the child-free weddings, but how far will we push kids away? Some people really believe they should not be boarding flights. Like, what is our expectation? That they should never travel? Because of us, families cannot go on holidays? What are we saying? But then, we're also the same people who want parents to fly with their kids because them not going on holidays due to financial issues is child abuse. We claimed that kids deserve a good life, but then here we are setting perimeters. Some people argued that basically child-free women just don't want kids involved in anything at all, and it's quite alienating for the parents because the parents still want to get involved. They're still your family, your friends. your co-workers and they want to be involved in your big day. But you know, I do understand if you're not going to take care of your kids, then you're going to ruin someone else's day for what? So maybe you should leave your kids at home. I'm just concerned as to like when it's now too much, because I think some people are genuinely taking the mickey. Let's watch this.
My sister, 30 female, got married yesterday. I, 32 male, was so happy for her and agreed to help her out. She told me that the wedding was child-free, which I understand. So I asked my best friend if there was any way he could watch my son, and he agreed. I arrived at the wedding and found that it was not child-free. There were probably 15 children there. I was confused, but didn't want to make a scene, so I waited until my sister came over to me, and I asked her what the deal was. What she told me broke my heart, and I don't know how I can look at her the same way again. She confessed that my son, 12 male, was excluded because he has an amputated leg. She said that it would draw attention to him at the wedding. I almost lost it. I could understand if he was going to be disruptive or something, but because of that, I didn't trust myself in that moment, so I just walked out and went home. When I got home, my son asked me why I was back so early, so I made up some excuse and then spent the rest of the day having fun with him because it was the only thing keeping me sane. Since then, I've been getting dozens of messages from people saying how me leaving caused my sister to start crying and the whole wedding was ruined, but I honestly don't care right now. I'm a mess. I'm a single dad, so I don't have someone to help me right now, but these messages are actually making me wonder, am I the asshole?
No, absolutely not. That's disgusting behavior. And I'm glad that her wedding was ruined.
So I think it's fair to say that some people are taking the mickey. They're just jumping on the bandwagon and just being cruel and disguising it as wanting a child-free wedding. I'm interested to know what you guys think. Do you think society now suddenly just hates kids? Or does this make sense? And maybe, like I said, the wedding thing might make sense, but how far is too far? Should we not allow kids to fly anymore because they are disruptive and destructive? Can we take our kids to a restaurant for a family meal? Or is that too much for you? Guys, believe it or not, I even heard some people saying that the park is not for kids. The park. I mean, I don't know. I am for the child-free wedding if that's what you want, but how far are we pushing this? Because to me, it's just going a bit crazy now. But yeah, like I said, I want to hear what you guys think. Write down your comments, and I'm really excited to hear from you. But remember to stay safe out there. There's a bunch of crazies. Until next time, cheerio.
Chica,